Welcome back. This is our 7th video on our trigonometry topic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the ratio of sides to solve for an angle that's missing. Now, I'm just going to change this to, I'd rather see this be theta than x. So let's just do that right here, theta. So the example that we're going to go through is, again, we will identify this is the angle we're going to be working with. Okay, so relative to that acute angle, that leg is opposite. This leg is adjacent. And of course, I should have started with the hypotenuse across from the right angle. Now, get used to this. This acronym should be written every time. Okay, SOHCAHTOA. This will help us decide and understand which trig function to use. Now, the two sides involved are the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Adjacent hypotenuse. So we should be using cosine. Now this is where it's going to get unusual. Usually we have an angle to put in here. Well, we don't. We have theta to take the place of the angle for a minute. And then it's adjacent over hypotenuse. All right, this time we can't actually replace that. We don't have anything to replace it with. So just rewrite it. The adjacent hypotenuse can be replaced with 8 and 23. Okay. So again, I'm going to just change this to a decimal. This is 0.3478. It's not necessary, but I do it. And I'm not going to put it over 1. This time, there's a reason for it. So just leave it like that. Now, this is where we get into algebra, the idea of inverse operations. Okay? This gets a little bit tricky. For cosine, the inverse operation is cos to the negative first, or inverse cos. Now we want to get at that theta. We want to solve for theta. So what we're going to do, and this is a little bit tricky from functions back in algebra, so we're going to take cos inverse of both sides. Now, this is going to take a little practice. It's going to be pretty confusing at first. So just hang in there and watch. Now, what I'm trying to do, remember, is get at theta. Get theta by itself. I can't divide by cos, and that's usually the misperception of students. We're going to take the inverse operation of cosine to get rid of cosine. Okay. Now, these two knock each other out, so that we have theta over there, which is what we wanted. Now, in our calculators, we're going to have the cosine inverse function of that decimal. That's going to get us 69.64. It wants the angle to the nearest degree. So, pretty tricky. Think inverse operation. Cos and cos inverse are inverse operations. Okay, so they will knock each other out basically. All right, cos and cos inverse, they're inverse operations. We'll stop that one there, and we'll solve the other two in the next video.